Well, good afternoon. I know that I have not been on Facebook Live nearly as much as I was doing. I was doing it every single day, and I was having such a blast doing it. And I was getting, and I still am getting, but I was getting so much great feedback from everybody about, what was going on and what I was putting out there. And fortunately, I've had a great deal of success in my life, and people see that, and it's really fun. But there's been a lot of adversity too, and we all face it. We all have stuff times when shit hits the fan, right? And we're like, I didn't see that coming, and we get blindsided. Sometimes we see it coming, and we're like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna brace myself. But there's some go-to strategies that I have, and I always think about stories I can share with you to show you how I was in this bad place and then had to overcome it. And today I was thinking about some of the stories that I could share with you, and I thought about maybe sharing the story about when I was traveling backpacking through Europe, and I ended up sleeping on the floor in the Amsterdam train station. And the train station in Amsterdam at this time, I don't know how it is now, but back then it was pretty sketchy, and I was the only person there that probably didn't look like they belonged there, but yet I ended up there. It was insane, and I didn't know if I was gonna make it through the night. I had to make friends with people that I never thought I'd make friends with, to just get through the night, as I was surrounded by a bunch of people that were just definitely up to no good, and they definitely saw me as a target because I was actually clean. So I had that time. Or I could tell you guys about when I was living and traveling through Europe, and I had such a great 3 years basically traveling around from country to country on a shoestring budget, just with a backpack most of the time, and just getting whatever job that I needed to get through, and had amazing relationships, and I had an amazing girlfriend at the time. And when we broke up and I was living in Sweden, I was completely heartbroken. I was broke, and I had to come back to the United States and start from scratch. And it was terrifying to do it. Even recently, with one of my racetracks, I had my team, my general manager and his wife worked there, and her son worked there, and his wife worked there, and her brother worked there. It was like all these individuals in one family, and when one of them didn't work out, then it created pandemonium with everybody else. And these are all obstacles that we all face, crazy obstacles. And all of a sudden I was left without 6 staff members to run a track, and they basically all left within a week of each other. So there's major adversity that we all face. And rather than going into any one story, because if I were to, then really would take up a lot of your time here, and it wouldn't just give you the meat of everything. So there's really 3 things that I look at when I know that I'm facing adversity. 3 things that I know that I can do consistently to make sure that I am set up best possible for growth and have some kind of springboard. So the first one of them is really to make sure my mind is right. There is so much information out there these days that actually holds people back. There's so much information out there that scares the crap out of people. I mean, you look at their current election and what's going on with that. Like that, if it wasn't the election, it would be some war somewhere, or it would be terrorists, or it would be some other drama that's being fed to us consistently, and this scary stuff that we're constantly being bombarded with. And what ends up happening is we end up being in this spot where our mind is thinking about all this stuff that's happening in a negative way. And even when we watch TV, there's so much stuff that we watch that's really dramatized, and when it's over dramatized, it can actually affect us. So the first thing I look at when things seem like they're going wrong is, what am I feeding my mind? What do I put in my brain every day? Am I watching things that give me anxiety, things that scare me? Am I around people that are saying things to me that make me feel bad or make me feel some kind of negative emotion, whether it's fear or anxiety or depression or any one of those things? Because we all end up going through these emotions. I mean, that's the way life works. So the first thing I look at is, what am I feeding my mind? And if I'm feeding my mind the right things, just like when you eat the right foods, you feel better. You know you do. So same thing when you're taking information in, whether it's through your ears or through your eyes or any senses, right? When you take that information in, it's going to have an effect on you. So if I'm in a place where there's going to be some craziness, right? Some scary stuff or some big changes, the first thing I need to do is to make sure that I'm feeding myself information that's going to make me believe that this is for the best and that this is going to create a change that's actually going to ultimately help me get through. So what are some of those things? Well, you could listen to, well, hopefully one of this video is one of them, right? It's this video or Tony Robbins or uplifting movie. If you want a good movie, Joy, I just watched it recently. Great story. And you want to make sure that you're feeding yourself things that give you inspiration, that give yourself hope. If you're feeding your mind things that make you believe that maybe you can't do something or that the world is against you, then you're going to actually end up feeling that way. And that's what happens a lot of times. We'll feel that way, and then we'll be surrounded by people that are in that same place. And then when you're trying to do something beyond that, beyond where you're at, those people are actually going to hold you back because they can't even see the possibilities. So you got to surround yourself with all those possibilities. So this way it comes into your mind that it is possible to move and make a better life for yourself. And whatever changes are about to come, whatever obstacles are about to face, that you're going to be just fine. Because you are, right? You're still here. If you're able to watch this video, you are doing great because you have an internet connection and probably a cell phone, and you probably have a roof over your head, and you probably have enough food in your belly. So the first thing is to feed the mind. Then the second thing is really to feed your spirit. And that's my model, right? This is what I do. So I'll feed my spirit, because if my mind's in the right place, then I actually have room for my spirit to come in. And some of you might have a different order of doing this. But when you feed your spirit, that could be through prayer, it could be through meditation. But a lot of times when we look to prayer, or we look to God or a source bigger than us, we'll personify God as this man in the clouds. And God is so much bigger than that. God is the source. God is the energy. That it's the life that powers you. That's an extension of what God is. At least that's how I understand it. And if you ask, you can ask for whatever you want. So don't just wait to chase the fan. Just ask. But don't just ask and then move on. You got to listen. Because when you're actually putting out those prayers, information is going to come back to you on what your next step is. So make sure your prayers and what you're asking for is very, very clear. Make sure your prayer is specific in what you want. And don't just be like, I just need money. How much money? Don't just be like, I need help. What do you need help with? What specifically? And if you start doing that and ask for specific questions and then stop and listen, have a notepad with you when you pray. Listen and listen and listen and listen and listen. Listen for 5 times longer than you ask. So if you're praying for 5 minutes, then sit and listen for 25, and you'll start getting answers coming in. And this takes some practice, but if you spend the time doing it, you're actually going to feed your spirit, because you're going to start to have understandings and revelations about yourself, about how the world works, that you are not a victim, that you are actually completely in control of anything you want. You're completely in control. And sometimes it seems that you're not, but that's really because you didn't think of it. And sometimes God knows better than you. The source knows better than you. So it's going to throw curveballs to force you out of this comfort zone, because there's something better for you. And that's the reason why we have all these obstacles, is because it's a chance for us to grow and to evolve. So really, when you ask through prayer, or however you do it, make sure you listen. And that's why I love meditation, because it forces me to put some intentions out there. I mean, how I do my meditation, I put intentions out there, and those intentions are things that I want, and things that I believe that I'm going to get, or really want to get. And then I listen, and when I listen, I start to get little tidbits of the next step here and there of what I can do to make things better. And sometimes there's leaps. The more you practice this, the more you're gonna get the results. And then the third thing that I make sure that I'm taking care of is my body, because if I'm not healthy, my mind is not going to work. I'm not going to have the energy to meditate. I'm not going to have the energy to think clearly. I'm not going to have the energy to go take the actions that I need to take. So make sure that you are absolutely taking the best care of your body that you can be. And that doesn't mean that you can't go out and celebrate and party. If that's what you want to, sorry about that, call come in. But if that's what you want to do, go out and party and celebrate, yeah, you can do that. You can do things that are, an exception. It can't just be the regular thing, though. You got to enjoy your life, and you got to recreate, but it's got to be a smaller portion than the good that you do for yourself. So look to eat the things that are healthy, and it doesn't have to be a drastic change. Just feed your body as if you were feeding a racehorse that you wanted to win. Your life depends on it. So that's with food, that's with information, that's with exercise, that's with everything. So think of everything that you take in as consumption, right? And you're going to get out what you put in, garbage out. So it's really important to keep your body healthy, and that will give you a lot more energy to do the things that you need to do. So those are 3 takeaways that I've learned consistently. It doesn't matter if I am in the train station in Amsterdam. I had to make sure that I was resourceful. I sat there and thought about what was going through my mind. And when I was in fear, I got surrounded. I literally surrounded by like 8 people standing above me. And I was like, okay, this could get really, really bad. But I stopped for a second and I thought about how I was feeling. I was like, you know what? There's no reason for them to attack me. I'm going to, what can I do? I'm going to start thinking some positive thoughts. Actually, maybe these people want to help me. Maybe they think I'm lost. Maybe they're going to give me a meal. I don't know. And then all of a sudden, one of them, I started talking to them like a civilized human being. And they actually started talking back like a civilized human being. And it was a little separate from the larger group. And ended up buddying up with him. So now there was 2 of us. And then a third came. And it's because I got my mind and my thoughts right, even in that moment. So that helped me get through that. And yeah, I prayed and I listened. What do I need to do next? And fortunately, I was in pretty good physical shape at that point. So if I needed to run or fight, I might have been able to. So make sure that you are constantly feeding yourself the right foods and the right information, and feed your spirit and soul, because you're going to get so much more out of your life. And that's what you're here. You're riding around. We're all just riding through this meat body. I look at this body as like an extension, like a car when I'm driving a car, and the best stuff I can do with my car, it's going to make my car handle better. It's going to make it go faster. It's going to make it get better gas mileage, all of those things. Well, this body is the same thing. And I want to make sure that I make the best use of it. So I hope that helps you in your journey. Always be thinking about this kind of stuff, because the more positivity you have in your mind, the better you're going to feel consistently. So keep at it. I know that you got struggles out there. I know that sometimes it seems like it's endless, and hopefully it is, because that means you're living, right? But if you change the way you look at what those adversities and those problems are, and realize that they're actually just a gateway to the next thing that you should be doing, then those struggles actually make so much more sense, and it makes it so much easier to tackle them. So take that with you. Have a great day, and I'll be back as soon as I possibly can. If you are here in Texas, I'll actually be speaking at the Lights Festival tomorrow night and on Saturday night. at Cycle Ranch, and then Saturday night after and Friday after that I'll be at the raceway racing and hanging out. So come see me. Would love to chat and see what you're up to. Have a great day, everybody.